This is the new documentary from Alex Gibney, who's the director of Going Clear, Scientology, Prison of Belief, Client 9, Taxi to the Dark Side, all these incredibly weighty and complex films that end up either inspiring or outraging you just purely through clear-eyed, level-headed analysis. There is no sort of ginning up of evidence or rabble-rousing or, firebrand, passionate, tub-thumping speechifying in these films. They all have a very kind of set political agenda, but it gets that rolling just purely through methodical spade work, which has always really impressed me. I have to say, 0 Days, I think, tests that ability of his right up to its limit, arguably slightly beyond its limit. It's about an online virus called Stuxnet, which sounds like the stuff of sci-fi horror. I mean, it's basically an online virus which can cause real-world destruction and death, and was arguably designed to do that. The film begins with a lot of people saying that they can't talk about Stuxnet, even though it's been discussed in the press. It's all classified. It's all completely untalkable about. And so Gibney tells the story in pretty much the only way it can be told, by starting with the discovery of the virus online by an online security firm, and then working backwards to show who built it and why. And here's a clip of two guys who did some of the discovering, just trying to unpick how complex and weird this piece of programming is.
The most interesting thing that we do is the detective work, where we try to track down who's behind a thread, what are they doing, what's their motivation, and try to really stop it at the root. And it is kind of all-consuming. You get this new puzzle, and it's very difficult to put it down. Work until like 4 a.m. in the morning and figure these things out. And I was in that zone where I was very consumed by this, very excited about it, very interested to know what was happening. And Eric was also in that same sort of zone. So the two of us were like back and forth all the time.
Liam and I continued to grind at the code, sharing pieces, comparing notes, bouncing ideas off of each other. We realized that we needed to do what we call deep analysis. Pick apart the threat, every single byte, every single 0 and 1, and understand everything that was inside of it. And just give you some context. We can go through and understand every line of code for the average threat in minutes. And here we are 1 month into this threat, and we were just starting to discover what we call the payload, or its whole purpose.
So this is what I describe as the fun bit of the film. Yeah. And you can tell...
They're kind of the heroes, aren't they?
They are the heroes.
Eric and Liam. And
there's this pulsing Trent Reznor-style social network soundtrack ticking away in the background. They start to talk about, elements of this code were apparently stolen security keys from companies, and they're not things that you can steal digitally. These security keys do not exist online. You have to physically go into an office and take it. And this just conjures up these images of, Tom Cruise rappelling down in Mission Impossible to get the knock list or something. So there's this great sort of spy story. Why is this thing being assembled? He then mentions, in part two, this all kind of comes together. The virus was designed to infect a nuclear reactor system in Iran and make the nuclear centrifuges at this factory spin either faster or slower than they're designed to spin, while simultaneously feeding back information to the plant's security systems to say everything's fine in here, the strange noises that these things are making, there's actually nothing wrong at all, with the aim of making these centrifuges explode in real life. This is blowing up nuclear enrichment facilities. And the idea is that the people that created this virus, and there is, a compelling case made in the film that it was a liaison between the US and the Israeli secret services. The idea was basically to make these places blow up in the same way as bombing these factories in peacetime. That's effectively what you're doing. So what Gibney's doing in this film is saying, if this is a new form of warfare that we're using, don't we need to address how it's carried out?
To be some kind of a treaty. I mean,
right, exactly.
You even see a clip of Reagan and Gorbachev, coming to an agreement over how we're going to handle nuclear weapons around the world. If you've got it, if we've got it, what's the deal? And yet we've got this new weapon, which is just as powerful, if not more powerful, because it's got endless reach, right? And there's nothing in place. Right. No one wants to talk about it.
And this is the great thing. The title 0 Days. 0 Days is a hacking term for how much notice you have to get around a virus. 0 Days virus is one that you just can't. It's out before you know what's going on. It also, though, I think it refers quite cleverly to we've got 0 days until this is an issue. It's a totally current issue. Yeah. And also the idea as well of ground zero, the hypercenter of a nuclear explosion. This is a big weapon in the same way as the A-bomb was a big weapon. We need to talk about it in similar terms. Now, I felt, profound unease after watching this film. I also felt like my brain had sort of chewed through the informational equivalent of 10 bowls of muesli. And I think that's where it falls down. It's necessarily a complex story. You need these big passages where he's unpacking US-Iranian diplomatic history. And so for a lot of it, you spend going, okay,
Yeah.
right, got it, in order to understand the payload when it comes. But when it does come, it's pretty earth-shaking.